Again, so we have these valve covers I bought from Summit. Pretty good deal, actually. I think they were $53.99. We've got a 87 to 95 Chevy TBI motor, 350, 305, 350. So I got these valve covers chromed. Chrome won't get you home. From Summit. Problem was the oil filler hole. You got to do a grommet thing or figure out a thing to weld in a bung. I didn't want to cut off the old bung and get into oily steel and all that. So we bought, here's the tag for it, this cap off of Amazon. I will monetize this probably if it works out. And put the link up. I'll put the link up for Summit. Summit's not compensating me. These guys actually aren't compensating me unless you buy the same thing I did. But I'll put it up anyway to make it easy for people. So this is a aluminum. And then this is mild steel, which is probably better than stainless since the valve cover is steel also. So what the plan is this bung will not go through the hole, the oil filler hole. So I could have cut it out, would have been a nightmare, because this thing is flanged right there, if you can see it, and stuff. So that wouldn't have been fun. And then also this cap right here, this nice aluminum billet cap. I think this thing was like 20 something on Amazon. It starts, but it won't go through. But that's perfect for, so the way I'm going to do it is instead of welding it on this way, which would be kind of difficult, the thinner part, I'm going to use the thicker part, and then hopefully I don't warp it with the TIG. So the plan is if you notice this kind of goes in enough to guide us. So what I'm going to do, take this baby like that, tighten it down. If you use the O-ring, it'll be even up farther, but this will center us up nice. We're steel to steel, so I can use mild steel rod. I'm going to rough up this chrome just a little bit, clean it all off with acetone, and we're going to go for the TIG. We're going to tack it a few times, see if I can lay down some nice little welds where I don't warp it and screw anything up. Again, this cap my son ordered says made in USA. The tag kind of looks like the rest of the Chinese ones, but who knows? Maybe it is made in USA. That's pretty cool, actually. I think this is going to look pretty good. Obviously, chrome won't get you home, but wish me luck. I'll update it as we go along, and we'll make it into one big video. All right, working through the problem. I took a pen and outlined around that. You can see the thing. So I'm going to take the magic muff buffer, rough that up a little bit so the weld, so I'm not dealing with the chrome as much. Should be right about the right size there. So that's the plan. See how it goes. All right, so we hit it with the muff buffer. You can see I did just enough to kind of take the ink marks off, kind of polish up the chrome, get it roughed up. Never tried TIG welding chrome before, so we'll see if I should have taken it all the way off or not. Well, only time will tell. We'll see what happens when we start tacking. We'll hit this with acetone. We'll hit the bung with acetone, and we'll be off to the races. All right, so we acetoned everything. I showed you in the previous video how this kind of goes in. It's kind of weird. This might be a little bit thicker than these, the way it's stretched, but that came out to 20 gauge inside when I gauged it. So 20 gauge, we're going to be at, let's see if it'll read up here. 20 gauge, we're at 0.0359. So we're going to be at about 36 amps, which is light for this bung, but we don't want to be burning through this. And in my experience, you always go with the lighter material. And the way I had a disaster with those 02 bungs, hopefully, because this is mild steel, a little weld better. So the plan is I'm going to tack it in a couple places, get rid of this cap. Since it's aluminum, I don't want to melt it or anything. So hopefully I can just tack, and then pull it off and finish weld it. We'll see what happens with the chrome and stuff, but we're going to go with 36 amps initially, see what happens. All right, we tacked it out. Not the best tacks, but we got 4 of them in there, and we're going to see what happens now as we start trying to lay some beads down. All right, here's what we ended up with. I'm going to hit it with some aluminum paint. Got too thick on the weld. What I would recommend is stay on that lower lip and just work that lower lip all around. You can see I started to get it pretty good in there, and then I started chasing it, trying to pile on. I started too high at one point, and then make sure you run a wire wheel or a wire brush through there and get all the little crusties out of there too. But it worked. I had to do a little bit of finessing to this. I got a little too much heat in it in these wide welds. That's why I'd say just stick with the lower lip. But there we go. We got enough room for the O-ring here, right there. So you can see it. I could put a little too much heat into it, but it will work. And with some oil on it, I think it'll work fine. So that's where we ended up with. So this is what we ended up with on the bung. We painted it with kind of a chrome paint, so it matched in fairly well. Big tips would be I ended up with a 45 amp setting. Stick with the lower shoulder there. Don't let the weld creep up like I did. Keep moving the weld around so that you don't get too much heat. I got a little too much heat in it, so I ended up trimming the cap back a little bit, and I'm going to probably grease the cap when I put it in. But it worked out good. I would say, again, start out with 45 amp and then move the weld around a little bit, and don't go on a high weld. Don't concentrate in one area like I did. And I think it'll turn out good. Like and subscribe.